Before we talk about why your offer isn't actually the problem, but the way you're presenting it might be, I want you to grab my digital product sales system. It's my $97 step-by-step framework for creating, launching, marketing, and selling your digital products profitably, even if you've struggled before. This is the exact system I've used to help students turn a $17 product into a $500 plus product for their customers without constantly launching or burning out. Now, you can grab it below in the link description or the pinned comment. So, let's talk about how you put together a solid offer. It solves a real problem. You know your stuff. The testimonials are good. The price is fair. And you've even added bonuses. But for some reason, it's just not converting for you. People look, they click, maybe they even read the whole page, but then they leave. So you begin to start questioning yourself. You question everything. You're like, maybe my niche is wrong. Maybe the product isn't good enough. Maybe, you're thinking maybe you're not even cut out for this. But the issue usually isn't the offer itself. The issue has nothing to do with you. It's how you're framing it. And framing is what turns a product into a no-brainer. It's the difference between someone scrolling past and someone thinking, I need this now. And most people build their offer like it's some kind of checklist, right? So it has value, it solves a pain point, and it includes features, and it might have lots of features, but that's not how people buy. Some people buy, and most people buy, based on how the offer makes them feel. So they buy based on identity, urgency, and relevance. So they want to see themselves in the pitch. They want to feel like this was made for them at this exact moment in time. So when your framing is off, even a strong offer can feel weak. Okay, so if you focus too much on features, people will get bored and it turns into a whole snooze fest. So they're not interested in what's included. They want to know what it means for them. How does this solve the thing that's stressing them out? How does it change their day? How does it change their business? How does it change their confidence? So if your offer reads like a spec sheet, you're making them do the translation work, and that's your job, not theirs. When I was in my doctoral program, preparing for my dissertation defense, my advisor said, finally, this is good, because there for a while I was making my reader work. And you do not want to make your reader work. That is your job, because your writing should be enjoyable and not feel like a job to your reader. Okay. So I want to know from you, when you look at your own offers, right? Do you think the problem is the product or the way you're framing it? Okay, so drop your answer in the comments below and let me know, because I'm gathering some real life examples for a future video, and your insight could help another entrepreneur see what's really going on in their sales process. Okay, so your offer doesn't need more stuff. It needs sharper angles. And most people try to fix a non-converting offer by piling on more bonuses. Pile, pile, pile. Or they'll lower the price. And that's something you don't need to do, because that's just like a short-term band-aid. And the real fix is to reframe what's already there so it speaks more directly to the result. So if you're selling a course, don't just say it has 10 modules. Say it gives them a way to get 12 hours a week back while still hitting their goals. So if you're offering a service, don't just say you'll audit their funnel. Say you'll show them why their last 5 leads ghosted them, and how to flip that trend in 1 week. Framing also affects trust. If your offer feels generic, people assume it won't work. If it feels tailor made for them, they lean in. So, the fastest fix and the fastest way to fix framing is to zoom in on one specific outcome. Not 5, not all the things it could help with, but just one powerful result they can visualize. So the more specific the outcome, the more believable the transformation. So instead of saying you grow your business, right? Or you grow someone's business, say book your first 3 clients in 30 days. So instead of feel more confident, you can say walk into your next meeting without second guessing a single word. So you see the difference there? So another place framing breaks down is in the before and after contrast. So people need to fill the gap between where they are and where they want to be, or where they need to be. So if you're already painting the after picture, it sounds like a fantasy. But if you start with their current frustration, the moment they're stuck in the right now, and then show them how your offer gets them out, and how that journey can feel real for them, that's not about manipulation. It's about helping them see the path. People don't need more hype, they need clarity. And remember, you are the solution to their problem. And so timing is a part of the frame too. So if your offer sounds evergreen, people will treat it like it's something they can get anytime or come back later too. And so that kills urgency. But if your timing, your framing says this solves a problem you're actively dealing with right now, then the purchase decision feels urgent. So one way to do this is to tie your pitch to real-time pain points. And if your audience is overwhelmed in Q4, you frame the offer as the relief they need before burnout sets in. So if they're, say, scrambling for summer income, show how this offer makes this possible before June comes, okay? So price framing matters just as much. Most people justify their price based on how they're included, but what matters most is how you frame the cost of not buying. What does staying stuck cost them? What's the price of another 6 months without results? Okay, what would they gladly pay to skip the failure, to skip the trial and error and wasted time? So when you frame the offer as a shortcut and not an expense, the price starts to feel smaller by comparison. So you see what we did there, okay? So it's also important to frame your offer around identity. People buy based on who they believe they are or who they want to become. So if your framing taps into that shift, you're the kind of person who's ready to lead, or this is for the woman who's done playing small. Then your offer becomes more than a product. It becomes a movement. It becomes a reflection of their values. So that's where conversions come from. It's not logic, but belief. So your headline is often the first place your framing either works or fails. So a good headline doesn't describe the offer, it sells the outcome. So a weak headline says 12-week coaching program for freelancers, but a strong one says turn your freelance skills into a 5K per month business without burning out. Okay, so you see where it's the same offer, but it's just a different angle. So the second one connects faster because it speaks to the desire underneath the surface. It tells a story in one sentence. So you also need to check your tone. If your copy sounds like you're trying too hard, people will back away. they'll back away. But if it sounds too casual, they don't take it seriously. So framing is about striking the right emotional chord. So matching your tone to the urgency and the weight of the transformation. If you're promising, say, a high impact result, your language needs to carry authority. If you're selling ease and relief, your tone should feel cool and calm and confident, okay? So one of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming their offer is clear just because it makes sense to them, okay? But I want you to run a 5-second test, because just because it makes sense to us doesn't mean that it's going to make sense to others. So show your offer to someone unfamiliar with your brand and ask what they think it does. If they can't tell you the result, you've got a framing problem. If they can't tell you who it's for, you've got a framing problem. And so it doesn't matter how much time you spend building if they don't get it instantly, then boom, they're gone. So you don't need to scrap your product. You don't need to rebuild your offer. You need to change how you talk about it. So the right frame turns what you already have into something that feels sharper. It feels faster. It feels more urgent. And so it's more aligned with what your audience is craving. So when you fix the frame, you unlock the power of the offer that's been right in front of you all along. So if you want to know exactly how to reframe your offers so they convert without slashing prices or adding endless bonuses, grab my digital product sales system for $97. It's linked below and in the pinned comment section as well. And you'll get the same frameworks, scripts, and templates that I use to position my products so that they sell, and I mean sell like hotcakes. So before you go, hit the subscribe. If this video sparked a shift in your thinking, turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next strategy, and drop a comment telling me your biggest takeaway from this framing approach. And I'll see you next time. And remember, be a legend.